In the 9th century, England was not one kingdom, but a patchwork of rival Anglo-Saxon realms: Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, and Wessex. They were lands of burgeoning faith and fractured power, blissfully unaware of the storm gathering across the North Sea. The catalyst was a single act of brutality. Ragnar Lothbrok, a name whispered in awe and terror, a legendary Viking king, was captured by King Ella of Northumbria and cast into a pit of vipers. As the venom coursed through his veins, his dying breaths were not of fear but of prophecy. How the little pigs would grunt if they knew how the old boar suffers. The news of his death reached his sons, and the grunting began. It was a roar that would shake the foundations of England. This was not to be a mere raid for gold and slaves. This was vengeance. This was conquest. Ivar the Boneless, the cunning strategist, Halfdan Ragnarsson, the fierce warrior, and Ubba, the relentless leader, called upon the clans. From the fjords of Norway and the shores of Denmark, they came. A vast armada, a fleet larger than any had ever seen, assembled under a single blood-red banner. They called it the Great Heathen Army. In 865, their longships sliced through the waves and landed on the coast of East Anglia. The local king, terrified, paid them tribute and provided them with horses. This was their first move, a calculated play by Ivar. They were no longer sea raiders. They were a mobile army, ready to strike at the heart of the land. Their target was Northumbria, the kingdom of their father's killer. They marched north, and in 866, they seized the great city of York, catching the Northumbrians in the midst of a civil war. King Ella was captured. The debt of blood was to be paid in the most horrific way imaginable, the blood eagle. They carved his back into the shape of an eagle's wings, a ritual of ultimate vengeance that would be sung about in Viking sagas for centuries. With Northumbria shattered, the army turned south, a relentless tide of iron and fury. The kingdom of Mercia fell. The kingdom of East Anglia was conquered, its king martyred for his faith. One by one, the Anglo-Saxon crowns tumbled, their lands absorbed into what would become known as the Danelaw. By 871, only one kingdom remained: Wessex, the last bastion of Anglo-Saxon England. Its king was Ethelred, but the true force of the resistance was his younger brother Alfred. Alfred was a scholar, a man of books and faith, but the crucible of invasion forged him into a warrior. The initial battles were disastrous for Wessex. The Vikings, seasoned and seemingly invincible, pushed them to the brink of annihilation. Ethelred fell in battle, and Alfred, at just 21 years old, inherited a crown and a kingdom on the verge of collapse. Driven into the marshes of Somerset, a king with no kingdom, Alfred refused to surrender. He waged a guerrilla war, rallying the remnants of his forces, striking from the shadows. For years, it seemed hopeless. But in 878, he emerged from the wetlands with a reformed army and faced the Great Heathen Army at the Battle of Edington. Against all odds, Alfred won a decisive victory. It was a turning point in history. The Viking tide was halted. The ensuing treaty established the Danelaw in the north and east of England, while Alfred secured Wessex and began the long, arduous task of rebuilding. The Great Heathen Army, which came to avenge one man's death, had inadvertently paved the way for the birth of a unified England, forged in the fires of its own near destruction by Alfred, who would forever be known as the Great. Subscribe